Amid the infamy of almost 200 years of Britain's colonial rule over India, a period when Indians suffered untold hardships, injustices and atrocities on their own soil, an event that has forever left a scar on this great nation took place at the holy city of Amritsar in the year 1919. That year, the British committed a heinous and a despicable act that shook the very consciousness of a subcontinent. A mass slaughter that reverberates through time, reminding us of the innumerable and mighty sacrifices our forefathers have made to win us this much-deserved freedom. Marking 100 years of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 2019, its restoration and renovation work was undertaken by the Ministry of Culture and the Archaeological Survey of India to preserve the history and posterity. However, the makeover has sparked off a major debate whether the facelift was necessary due to the dilapidated conditions, or is it an attempt to damage heritage. Now let's first take you back at the history of this memorial and the reason behind this latest controversy. It was the 13th of April 1919 when in Punjab, the British were facing protests against the Rowlatt Act, a controversial act which approved the arrest of people without any warrant or trial. A fateful Sunday where people on one side were thronging markets to celebrate the festival of Baisakhi, and on the other side protests were planned against the arrest of Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Kichlu, who had been arrested for opposing the Rowlatt Act. It was around 5 p.m. when Colonel Reginald Dyer marched into the protest side with a column of 50 armed soldiers with .303, Lee Enfield and bolt action rifles. Enraged on his orders being disobeyed, Colonel Dyer ordered troops to open indiscriminate firing without giving any warning. On that fateful Sunday evening, 1,650 rounds were fired until they ran out of ammunition at an unsuspecting and unarmed crowd, which included few women, children and the elderly. They did not have much of an option but to run and find an escape where all of the exits were sealed. They did not have hope. Even as the protesters started fleeing through that single narrow lane, they were faced with a volley of bullets. Having no way out, innocents were forced to jump to their death in a well where Colonel Dyer's troops mercilessly shot the helpless revolutionaries. Indian historians estimate that around 1,000 people were massacred and over hundreds wounded. The killings drew widespread outrage and condemnation. Bengali poet and Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore renounced the knighthood that he had received in 1915. Even Mahatma Gandhi soon began organizing his first large-scale and sustained non-violent protests, the Satyagraha campaign. The Jallianwala Bagh massacre was the flame that ignited India's freedom struggle. In the year 1950, around 31 years after the gruesome incident, a memorial was set up by the Indian government at the Jallianwala Bagh to preserve history. Commemorating 100 years in 2019, it took 2 years of renovation at an estimated cost of 20 crores when the historic Jallianwala Bagh at Amritsar was virtually inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The event highlighted the development of the museum galleries, a salvation ground to honor the martyrs. Sculptures of those who died have come up on the walls depicting the narrow escape route. A sound and a light show has also been set up to display the horrific events that transpired on the 13th of April 1919.
जलियांवाला बाग की तरह ही आजादी से जुड़े दूसरे राष्ट्रीय स्मारकों का भी नवीनीकरण जारी है.
While the renovations have been welcomed by many as a much-needed revamp, it has also come under fire as some in the Congress, like the former President and party MP Rahul Gandhi, thinks that this makeover tends to erase history and termed it as an insult to martyrs. However, in stark contrast, Captain Amrinder Singh said that the new complex looked very nice. The captain had also attended the video conferencing function in which Prime Minister Modi had digitally opened the memorial to the nation. Opinions are divided as the revamp has sparked off a major debate, as many are thanking the centre and Prime Minister for giving Jallianwala Bagh massacre its proper place in national history. However, many others are stressing to return the site to its original look, as there are issues in the renovation which require redressal. While earlier the story of Jallianwala Bagh had been told in plaques and they have been depicted in murals and statues, bringing into sharper relief as to why it was such a defining moment in the tumultuous history of pre-independence India.